Some of you guys know I have been traveling, and hopefully I brought enough stuff with me to continue doing my job. And the job I'm talking about today is an Amazon return of an RT95. Let me show you what I brought. We're gonna check out the radio, we're gonna see if it works, and then you can buy it by checking out the link in the description down below. First off, I brought my Surecom SW102, and this guy here allows me, first off, the case is awesome. But this guy here allows me to verify power output, frequency is on what it's supposed to be on. I've got a little dummy load in there, but I've also got a bigger dummy load. And I have some adapters to get me down to the right type of cable. But I've already got the right type of cable because the radio has an SO239 on it. So that is covered for testing power output and frequency and SWR and all kinds of other stuff. Nice, neat little bit of kit there in a nice protective case. Over here, I brought some extra tools. I have my Shari Pi hat. This is a self-contained Raspberry Pi 4 and All-Star node all in one box. So all I need to do is hook it up to USB-C power, and it boots up, gets online, and it is a working, functioning All-Star node all by itself. So why do I need All-Star for this? Quick, short answer is I'm lazy. It's really easy for me to be able to key up on a frequency, talk to my All-Star node, and have it pair it back to me. Or talk to my All-Star node, have it go to the parent node, and have it report back my signal strength, my volume levels, and whatnot. And then I can test that the radio can transmit because the All-Star node heard it, and that the radio can receive because it came back and said, your audio level's a bit high, or audio level's just about right, or whatever. And then I can verify that we're getting transmit, we're getting receive, we're getting good quality audio back and forth. So that's why the All-Star node. Back to the case. And then the dummy load that's in here is rated at 10 watts, so I have a 100 watt dummy load, which will do me just fine. I could use the 10 watt dummy load and just not keep my foot in it for too long, but I'm using the 100 watt dummy load because I can. I've got some spare SD cards in an SD card holder. This one here has got an FT8 image on it. The rest of these are kind of disposable. This one's got Jason's KM4ACK73 Linux on it. I've got an adapter to go from full-size USB to USB-C, and it does transfer data. And then I've got my Wagos. These are actually lever nuts, not generic, not branded Wagos, but generic lever nuts. And I actually like these a bit better. To power pole adapter. And then I brought my soldering iron in case I really need to fix something, and my solder. This is just another case that I brought with some other stuff in it, not really related. Screwdriver kit in case I need to get inside of stuff. And then I have my regular old T-connector power cord. These radios do come with power cords, but how often are you gonna find a busted power cord that isn't obviously visually busted? So we'll be able to take care of that. And then for power, I didn't want to bring along a ham radio workbench, 30 amp power supply to get the job done, so I brought something else. And right behind me, I have my power station, and this thing is an AC inverter, so it's got some AC plugs on it. It also has a cigarette lighter plug, so I'm rocking the cigarette lighter plug here, which then gets connected up through power poles to that T cord. And then it also does all of my USB-C charging stuff. So I'm charging my headphones, I'm charging my smartwatch, I'm powering my laptop off of it, and then I'll be able to power the ham radio off of it. So the power levels might be a little bit down, which is something else I want to check, but these radios are sold and marketed as 25 watt radios, and they really are 20 watt radios on VHF and about 25 watts on UHF. So if we're somewhere in the ballpark, I know that it's good. I don't have to worry about that. And then these guys here are some of the radios. So these are the RT95s, and one of these boxes is completely empty. So there's 1, 2, 3 times 3 is 9 in here, and then down there is a dual band antenna. Those are for sale also. And then in the box, I found 2 loose programming cables. So one of those guys is missing a programming cable, so I brought those along to shove in the box as necessary. And then I got 2 radios that are in bags. So one of these goes into that empty box, so somebody will get a full box, and one of these gets a little bit more of a discount because it doesn't have the full box. And then in addition, these guys here, these first 2 here are dual band antennas only. And then this is antenna plus radio, antenna plus radio, antenna plus radio, antenna plus radio. And this box right here in particular seems really light. Like I shouldn't be able to pick up a full 25 watt radio, a mag mount antenna, and the assorted coax and everything with just my fingertips. So I'm betting that that is one of these extra boxes that is also missing. So maybe I'll be able to make my full marks on that guy there as well. But if not, you'll get a discount. So I'm going to grab a bag of radio and spare programming cable and get to work. So step 1 is to plug in the Raspberry Pi and wait for it to boot. and then verify that it works. So casualty of the trip number 1, this is not working anymore, and it's the Raspberry Pi 4 that won't power up. And I don't feel like troubleshooting that right now. So I'll do that in a future video or just off on the side as a personal, like I'm doing this for my own personal satisfaction type of thing. Either way, the show must go on. And what does any self-respecting ham do when it is time to go on a long road trip? You bring the disposable business casual Baofeng. This one is light gray, and this one here, she's working good. So I'll be able to listen and receive on both bands with this. Listen and receive. I'll be able to listen to the RT95 transmitting, and then I'll be able to transmit from this and the RT95 will receive. I knew what I meant, even if I wasn't clear about it. Back to work. So programming cable is the extra one that I brought. There is your bag o radio, which may or may not have a programming cable in it. Let's see if we have all of the parts we need inside of the bag. Look, it's ready to ship. Ah, okay. So there is our programming cable, all wrapped up, ready to go. Radio, mag mount, mounting bracket, all in one, and I do have an extra whip for this. The radio doesn't have its screen protector on it. Otherwise, it is in fairly good condition. You can see some witness marks there. It looks like maybe they might have done the screws. Backside looks okay. All right, the aforementioned mounting bracket. All right, this power cable has been sufficiently mutilated. Somebody cut it and then had to put it back together. Cut it, had to put it back together, and then cut it again. And then cut it and had to put it back together. So this one actually might be non-working finally. We might find one that doesn't work, so we'll keep an eye out for that. This is basically kind of useless at this point. Maybe I might take this and cut it and put some power poles on it, or cut it after the fuse, but I think I might just cut it and put some power poles on it and have a nice short adapter for this. Microphone. Microphone looks like it's in pretty good shape. And then we have a Ziploc baggie that holds 2 screws in it, and those are more like wood screws for mounting the mounting bracket to something. And then 2 knobs, which these knobs go to put the mounting bracket on the side of the radio. I'll put those in the bag. And there we go. And then this is the box that I thought was empty, so let's see what's in here. There's our missing owner's manual, our protective packing material, a bag for the radio itself, a bag for the microphone cable, another programming cable, a bag of hardware, so you get the protective donuts that go between the radio and the mounting bracket, an extra fuse, wood screws, and okay, so that's not bad. So we'll include this one with the radio when it goes. There's a bag for the programming cable. And this is for the antenna, I think. This side of the power cord looks like it is in good enough shape, so I'm just gonna plug her right in. And we've got the camera pointed at it, so we'll see if it's working or not. We got a little bit of a light up. Brandon. Okay, Mr. Brandon, what did you do to this radio? HMC, W4VM, W4MX, Races, KB4CRG, Club, Space, T1 Club, Fire, Skywarn, Simplex, Morgan, W4XE, W4HSV, W9KOP. Lots of repeaters programmed in here. And then we're back around. Let's plug in the microphone and the dummy load. Actually, I'm gonna plug in the Surecom as well. Like my studio lights, plug it in the Surecom so that we can test the power output and whatnot while we're doing all of this jazz. And then it'll go into the dummy load, so we'll be able to tell if there's any terrible mismatch on SWR. Could be coax, could be a bunch of other stuff, but close enough is good enough. All right, got it all cabled in, and I was trying to switch over to frequency mode from memory mode, and you can see these soft buttons here don't have it, so we push the thing again. The second set of soft buttons don't have it, so we gotta go into programming, which I think is in mini key. Yep, there it is, and then we change button 1 to V/M. There it is. Button 2 to DIR, that's all good. Press function to get back out, press EXT to get out, and now back on section 1 of the menus, VM. So you can program all 6 of these buttons with 2 different functions, and this one now is programmed for VM. That's the way you're supposed to do it, but it has given me some grief. If I hit the VM button, I get error mode instead of actually going into VM mode, into frequency mode. So I'm going to go back in, I'm going to do a factory reset, which I should be doing the very first time that I get these guys, but it's fun to explore. Reset all. Please reset MCU, please wait. I'm waiting. This is taking a very long time. Hey, Brandon still. And look, we're now in frequency mode, and it's on button 2 instead of button 1. But that's not the reason why it didn't work. 146.520. Let's turn on our meter since it timed out, and she's on. And 16 watts out, 1.1, and we're at 11.4 volts. And I can hear it clicking on my Baofeng over there. So let's go into, one of these is power. There it is, high power, 16.3 watts. Okay, so we're at 12.8 volts from our battery, and when I key down, we go down to 11.3 volts, 16 watts. So let's do power again. Power low, 3.9 watts. Power middle is 12 watts. Okay, and then we do, and where are we at for power? Power high, and you can see it right up here in the corner. It's telling me the wattage. 25 watts. Power low, 5.9 watts, 6 watts. Power MI, power me, is 16.5 watts. Okay, so now we do the mic test. Make sure all the buttons on the mic work. You should hear a beep each time I push a button. And then I'm going to lock. And I think the lock was for the up and down. Yeah, the lock stops the up and down from working. Perfect. So Mr. Brandon might have returned the radio because of low power on VHF. Don't know. This one here you program through the mic port. So remove the mic, put in the programming cable. We got the radio plugged into the laptop, and let's run Chirp. There's Chirp. Hey, I know that. Download from radio. And the port. There should be a USB serial controller, TTY USB 0. And then the vendor is going to be a Retevis, depending on how you pronounce it. And then the RT95 is in here somewhere. There it is, RT95 plus Vox. This is experimental. They're all experimental. And then let's read. Could not open port. Oh, I don't have the right permissions on this laptop. User mod dash AG, and I'm wondering if that's capital or not. I'm just doing this by memory. Dial out, and then this is my wife's laptop. Don't tell her. Nope, it's lowercase. So it's capital G. Oh, there we go. Now I need to exit and get back into a terminal. Let's hit OK. Cloning from radio. And the radio agrees. And since we did a factory reset, she is empty. So let's do 146.52, and we'll call it simplex. No tone, 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 no tone. No cross mode, mode FM, don't skip it. Power equals something. Let's do power equals high. Comment, no comment. And then just so we have more than one thing in there, let's do 446.000. Okay, let's just do, that didn't like it, 446. That didn't like it. That's not true, it's not out of range. 444.000, still out of range. I didn't type in 449. Why do you think there's an offset? This is a chirp problem. 430. Okay, 430, great. And let's do 70-430 so that we can tell that it's in there. No tones, no offset, no nothing, mode FM. We'll do high power on this one also. Yeah, let's do low power just to see that there's something different there. Okay, and then we will do radio, upload to radio. And all the settings are the same. Hit OK. And it says cloning to radio. And the radio agrees again. All right, we are back in business. Let's change it over to memory mode. Okay, and I forgot that it's not in named mode when we do that. So now we need to go into function, display, name. Simplex, 70-430. Let's turn on our power meter again. I'm gonna plug in the microphone in order to key the microphone up. 6 watts and 430 is the frequency. And 16 watts and 146.520 is the frequency. Baofeng seems to have heard it. KM9G testing, 1, 2, 3. KM9G testing, 1, 2, 3. Let's change that so it comes out of the hand mic. There we go, handle only. KM9G testing, KM9G testing. All right, she's working fine. And then I also brought the ICOM 880H over here for some other testing of some other stuff I'm working on. And I don't know what the power setting is on this, but we're gonna try it up in that same configuration and see. 50 watts, so 49.7. So definitely on high power. So that means that this radio is putting out good power on 70 centimeters, but not putting out good power on 2 meters. And usually it's about 20 watts on these guys, and this is 16 watts, kind of the design of the radio. And I think that's probably the reason why a lot of people return these. The two biggest things I have seen is not making the advertised power on 2 meters, and also sometimes these things come locked out of the right frequency range like we saw inside of Chirp. There just ain't really anything in there to mess with. Maybe you could take and expand or compress some of these inductor coils here and maybe tweak out just a last little tiny bit of power. But there ain't a whole heck of a lot going on in there. And overall, she looks pretty good inside. So they always say you get what you pay for. A brand new ICOM 2730 without the mounting bracket is about $370. And a brand new RT95 is about $130. The 2730 is a full duplex radio. It's made by a Japanese company, if that matters to you, and it is a 50-watt mobile. The RT95 is made by a Chinese company. It's made by AnyTone. It's then rebadged as a Retevis product and sold under the Retevis brand name, and it's supposed to be a 25-watt radio. And like I said, usually they're 20 watts. This one's putting out 16 watts. It's clearly not the battery because I tested it with the 880 and we're getting 50 watts out. So plenty of power, the radio just doesn't do it. Do you have a little bit of grace and realize that you got it for a significant discount and you're totally okay with the power? Or this thing said 25 watts and it's not 25 watts and I'm out for blood. Who are you? Let me know in the comments down below. If you were interested in a radio like this, then I have got a bunch of these that I need to test and sell and get out the door. So if you want it, there is a link in the description down below where you can get it. Otherwise, I have another video for you right over here where I take a look at another one of these radios that isn't broken. Thanks for being awesome. I'll see you over there.